Another week, another set of very, very fun races. It starts today at Martinsville. The O'Reilly Series takes over Virginia. In what we were just talking about before we went live, Taco, this has been maybe the most, if not one of the most chaotic races of the year. Not necessarily from a carnage perspective, but just so much of this race tends to be run under caution. It can be a very, very unpredictable race.
Yeah. Hold on. Oh my God. Okay, so this is just the last. I still haven't even finished just going back and looking like when's the last year or the last race here in the fall had 7 wrecks, and that's the lowest amount of wrecks we've had in like years. I would argue that if we're just talking about pure cautions being thrown, outside of like some weird specialty races or whatever, like Martinsville specifically in this series probably has to have the most like laps ran under caution. The last several races here we've had, and mind you, these are mostly like 1 to 3 car incidents or little spins. So not even like race ending carnage. Like most of these guys are fine. But we've had 7 cautions, 13, 11, 8, 13 with 2 big ones, 7, 12 with 1 big one, and 14 wrecks over the last 8 races here. Not even stage-ending cautions; those are just cautions for accidents. So it's just never ending here. There are good. I mean, last week at Darlington, you had some long run, green flag runs. Like we're not having a green flag pit stop here ever.
Yeah, they did get the mandate. I remember before the Martinsville Xfinity race last fall, the mandate was put out by NASCAR. Like, boys, clean it up because this race has been amazing. And they responded, to be fair.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that's out the window here, this is kind of a weird field. We've got a couple, obviously some regulars, 1 Cup Series guy, and then a couple new faces that you might not be familiar with. So I would think this leans more towards the chaotic side, but hard to know exactly what to expect. This is going to be a very green racetrack. Obviously, heavy rain last night washed away the track. Practice isn't going to be super reliable. That was covered with modified rubber, cloud cover across the whole track, very low track temperatures. Martinsville practice not super reliable in the first place. So we got a lot to dig through here. We got about 3.5 hours till lock. Good news is, as far as I can tell, microphone issues are alleviated.
Hell yeah.
Bad news is I have a wicked head cold. So as soon as my microphone starts working, the first thing you get to hear is me sniffling and coughing. But I'll do my best to ride the mute button best as I can today. Couple things about Martinsville, very unique track. Nothing we've really gone to this year. The smallest track on the circuit. It's called the Paperclip. Longer straightaways with very tight, flat corners. Guys that excel on short tracks, guys that excel on flat tracks, and guys that have a late model background tend to excel at a place like Martinsville. It's the longest race in terms of lap count that we go to in the Xfinity Series, 250 laps. And like Taco said, good chance 30 to 40% of those laps are run under caution. Mm-hmm. So it's not exactly as high as a domination total as you might expect, especially if this race gets a little chaotic. As far as guys who we need to look out for today, obviously Justin Allgaier has been great, but the guy that has dominated this race over the last couple of years has been Eric Almirola in the 19 car. That's been taken over by Brent Cruz. We'll have to talk about Brent Cruz here in a minute. And Taylor Gray dominated this race last fall as well. He's back, same situation. We could see him be a factor for the first time this season too.
Yeah, and I guess the talk of the week once again here will be Sammy Smith and his boneheaded decisions that he's made here at this track. So he's had the speed, but it's very clear that he is not happy with second place. He is willing to do whatever. I'm sure that's what led to the mandate was his terrorist attack in this race last year. Towards Taylor Gray, because he had Taylor Gray last year. He should have won both of the races very easily in dominating fashion, but he ended up with a 20th after just getting dive bombed hard. So we'll see if they continue to clean that up. But I would still be very cautious of this race. Like it could get a little wild.
that can go both ways though. Like Taylor Gray could have won both races, but if Sammy Smith knew how to move somebody out of the way properly, he could have won races last year.
Mm-hmm.
He nuked himself and Taylor Gray in the spring race last year, took them both out of the race, and then was a little skittish towards the end of the fall race, was in position to move Taylor Gray out of the way, but I think the message had been sent loud and clear. Sammy Smith, go ahead and run second here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sammy Smith, incredible at this racetrack. Hopefully he's maturing a little bit. Maybe he can translate that into another great run. Let's head over to the research station, see how this race has played out over the course of the last couple years. And it's kind of a hybrid approach, not as top heavy as maybe we've seen at Las Vegas and Darlington. Do see some deep place differential guys pop off, especially in this situation where qualifying was canceled. We have some good cars starting towards the back. But Taco, what pops off the page here for you?
Yeah, I think that's going to be huge. And do we have a competition caution? I would imagine so.
I haven't heard. I can.
The last time this was rained out was in like 2022, and they did. So I guess we'll see. But that's just going to be one of many flags thrown today. So that does lead to situations like Ross Chastain starting in the very back of the field, being super chalk for no reason other than just qualifying being canceled. And you've got some. Like, I'm sure Taylor Gray would probably be on the front row if it wasn't for qualifying being canceled. So that's going to throw a bunch of things for a loop here. And you do see, like, with the number of cautions thrown, the guys in the very back are able to kind of hang and stay on the lead lap, as where if this ran more like the Cup Series and we had these long green flag stretches, those guys in the back would be absolutely toast. They would be multiple laps down. So the nature of this race, we do see guys starting in the very back doing really well. All signs kind of point towards Ross Chastain just being able to play stiff his way up there. Question is, exhibition race for him. Does he give a shit? Does he wreck things out? I don't know. We're going to see. And then up front, like the pole sitter, I mean, it's super easy for the pole sitter here. We saw, like, in the Cup Series, Ryan Preece was able to lead a shit ton of laps just sitting on the pole with the teammate next to him. So that can happen here. You would expect that probably out of Allgaier, who's actually not really led a lot of laps here, but he also never qualifies on the pole, just kind of ended up that way. But again, this is definitely more of a skill expressive sort of track. But once you're up front, you're kind of just like up front until the next caution comes in. Pit crew is also going to be very important here with the expected number of cautions.
Yeah, Andrew B brings up Chastain. We were in such a great position to be in a fade Chastain position because this is DGM equipment. It's their pit crew is outside of the top 25. Ross Chastain can probably make speed short run with that car, but long run, I don't think it'll be super competitive. And he's priced up like a potential dominator, like he was in the 9 car. But alas, starting 38th, he's still going to be a very good play. I think he probably runs towards the top 15. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Ken brings up any concern with Chastain's top tier DGM equipment. Yeah, definitely some concerns, and definitely some concerns with that pit crew. If we go over to fast laps, pit stops have been updated. You look at that. I believe it's the 91 car he's in, which ranks 24th. 17-second pit stops on average versus the Joe Gibbs, the RCRs, the Haas, the juniors that are closer to 13, 14. So he's going to lose. If he's running towards the front, he's going to lose 3, 4, 5 spots per pit stop. Then, again, if he's running kind of 15th on back, he can probably hold serve, but he's not going to hold serve if he's running anywhere near the front. That's going to be a real detriment to his upside. A couple things I wanted to point out here. We do see the pole sitter tend to grab a bunch of fast laps, but the distribution of top 6 potential is spread pretty evenly among the top 10. If you have a good car, you have top 6 potential. It's kind of the opposite of what we've seen at Darlington and Las Vegas, where these middle guys were kind of viable. These 10th to 20th guys that could push into the top 10 were viable. We don't see that as often as Martinsville. It's kind of more guys starting and staying in the top 10 and then finding deep place differential guys. It's almost a little bit like a plate race in that regard, but a little more top heavy than a plate race.
Yeah, I think the carnage comes into play heavily here when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see some weird cars hit the optimal.
if you look at the race by race statistics table, you can see the last two races have actually been like all right as far as like guys finishing most of the race here. But we had that like brutal stretch of like this being an absolute slugfest.
Yeah, and another point too, if you're a guy, Brennan Poole, I see Julius brings up Brad Perez. If you're one of those guys who just kind of circumstances your way into the top 15 in the last stage, this isn't the type of track where you're going to get overwhelmed by faster cars coming from the back. It takes time to work through the field. It's not like Vegas where you're just going to pin it on the high side and pass 4 or 5 cars in a corner. It's going to be one car at a time, and one car a lap. And so we do see guys that just kind of circumstance their way into the top 15, be able to stay there. If we go over to the historical performance tab, get an idea of what the optimals looked like the last couple of years. Some deep place differential guys, one true dominator here. I guess a couple dominators here, but Taylor Gray and Sam Mayer also carried place differential upside. Eric Almirola was the main dominator. If you scroll back to the spring race, more place differential than you would expect. 3 guys starting outside of the top 29. Sheldon Creed, a good car in a bad starting spot. Sam Mayer popping up again, and then Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, and that's from a low carnage race overall. Because you look at what percentage of that field finished 100 or 99% of their laps, like most of the field. So even with the lower caution numbers, we see those place differential guys still working their way up. And track history also kind of seems to be a big thing here. We'll get into that.
Yeah, and then to the point, the fall race in 2024, you've got 5 cars starting in the top 10 hitting the DK top 6, and then 1 deep place differential guy. So it can go both ways. But I think the more common approach is to see deep place differential and then a couple starting in the top 10.
Unfortunately, a lot of these signs point to Ross Chastain here, which sucks. That actually is a detriment to the slate.
It is absolutely. I would love to be in it. I was hoping, man, if he qualified like 23rd, that would just be perfect because he'd be way over owned. He'd be a great fade position, but probably not a super great fade position here.
Yeah, I mean, after a couple of Larson weeks, just getting tired of all these Cup guys, I would love to see. When is the 100K? What do they call it? The race for the. I forget, like the in-season challenge, right? The race for 100K. I want those weeks with no Cup guys.
Yeah,
those are some quality races.
Before we head into the practice times, let's head over to fastlap.io, which you can search by tire type and track type. If we go over to J-Ski, go to Goodyear tire notes, scroll down to Xfinity. We're using the 5262 on the left side and the 5256 on the right side. This is a pretty common tire combination. I think I grabbed the Cup Series. It's 61118 and the 6120. A very common tire combination, or has been, at least on the Xfinity side. Most, I think, only run at Martinsville for the most part, but if we sort by average running position, we'll start to see John Hunter. We can throw away Eric Almirola, Cole Custer. Sammy Smith begins to be the first one that pops. Best average running position of the drivers running this race, and some significant dominator points, something maybe you wouldn't expect from Sammy Smith. Now, he hasn't been able to grab those since kind of late 23, early 24, hasn't dominated this race in the last 3 tries, but very, very consistent. Couple top 2s here, always inside the top 10, never really finished outside of the top 10. He's a guy that I think we don't really put a lot of emphasis on week to week, but Martinsville is certainly one where you're going to need him in the player pool. Justin Allgaier, of course, again, another guy that we don't see the domination out of Justin Allgaier at Martinsville. Him starting P1 will certainly help that cause, but very consistent, almost always inside of the top 10 when he doesn't wreck. And then Sheldon Creed, a great track for Sheldon Creed. Again, not a lot of dominator upside, but very, very consistent inside of the top 10.
Yeah, I think the only thing worth noting is that the Sammy Smith domination did come from back in his JGR days, and we have seen JGR just really shit stomp here. Taylor Gray, Eric Almirola. So while he still does factor in this race for sure, he hasn't dominated since being in the JGR teams. Of course, that's going to be the first team we're looking for in the slate.
Yeah, and then of course the next one on that list is Taylor Gray, who won this race in the fall. Should have won again. Throw this out. You could make this a first. He got bulldozed by Sammy Smith in that race, but significant domination in both races here last year. I make him the favorite for this race just by a little bit. But again, we were talking before, like, I don't know who to make. We'll go through it.
Vegas doesn't know either because last night, let's see, pre-qual, like Taylor Gray was just barely the favorite over Allgaier. Post-qual, Allgaier became the favorite over Gray, and then just this morning, Taylor Gray once again the favorite, just slightly over Allgaier. Brent Cruz right there. You know, I mean, there's like 5, 6, 7 guys that are right there in the mix of like being amongst the favorites. Like there's no clear-cut favorite for this race. Yeah,
it can be really chaotic, and that's fair because we do see these races kind of come unglued at the end, and we get some weird winners. Go over to the pit stop tab, get an idea of who the best pit crew is. It is far and away, or it was far and away, the number 2 RCR car. The 20 car has started to creep up, and even all the Joe Gibbs cars.
All those Joe Gibbs teams, and this is the Joe Gibbs track. This is a terrible, terrible track for Jesse Love. So I think that's going to keep him in this race probably. And then and a big question is like, so we've only seen Phoenix so far. As for the short flat tracks, there aren't really a lot of like comparable tracks for Martinsville. So I mean, outside of like Jesse Love here, it really is just JGR just showing off in the pit department.
This goes a long way in demonstrating how difficult it is for these lower level teams to be competitive because so this is sorted by average best 5 4-tire stops on ovals this year. And the top 14 are the big teams: RCR, JGR, Haas, JRM, and Hendrick. It's not until you get to 15th where you find Viking Motorsports, who has taken a big step forward, and even Big Machine Racing, which is an RCR affiliate, before you get to, and that's a 3-second drop off. That's the kind of thing that'll kill you. So the winner of this race will come from probably here.
Yeah. Just too many pit stops.
More so, it'll probably come from here. But they don't have a ton of tires. So I think they only have 3 sets for the race. So that should help quell some of that a little bit. This is fastlap.io, site we've been working on all season. You can go in and, like I said, you can sort by track type. If you want to look specifically at flat tracks rather than just Martinsville, you can do that. You can sort by tire combination, all that stuff. If you want to get signed up, I send out a newsletter with all of the weekend rankings. It looks like this. Kind of gives you an idea of who's the top 5 in Martinsville, top 5 on the tire combo, top 5 on pit crews, and then I do it for every series that's running there. If you want to get signed up for that, just put your email in there, and you'll get those newsletters every week. Let's head over to the practice session. Now, we talked about this a little earlier, Taco. Practice at Martinsville is pretty unreliable, and a green racetrack with modified rubber, complete cloud cover, followed by a complete washout of the track doesn't make for the most predictive practice times. And Martinsville, when you've got 40 cars on the track or 30 cars on the track, you're kind of at the mercy of the cars around you. So we get really inconsistent lap times. And you can see it here, like Justin Allgaier, 6th lap on a 78, then goes and runs 80s for a couple laps. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is the green is not evenly distributed. It's not like it starts as green as you can and then falls off into yellow. It's green, yellow, green, 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 yellow, green. Not super reliable.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I don't like practice groups, for Martinsville specifically, why the fuck are we not using groups? Why do we have all the cars out on the track at the same time? Because, you're just a lot of this is just traffic simulator.
And honestly, this isn't a lap time type of track. Like the fastest car on the racetrack isn't necessarily the car will win if it can't run different lines. Drive off, really important on this. If you don't have good drive off, you can't set up passes. You can't make passes. You have to use your front bumper. I do think we can gain a little from this. I think we can kind of bump off the first 25 kind of laps and sort by best 10. You'll get some really inconsistent data, but you'll start to see like Ross Chastain is not going to be the fastest car in this race. Yeah. Ryan Sieg probably isn't going to be either. Jeb Burton is very good at Martinsville, but probably not the fastest car. And Parker Retzlaff, he always practices well. I think it's what
you need to go to the end. You need to go to the very end, I think, of the just knock off some of these quals.
Oh yeah, those are probably
even like Joey Gay's out there. No, it's not what we see from him. But even that, So you see still, only a few teams really went into qual trim at the end, but it's going to throw people off. Like, do not play Josh Williams because of speed this week. Like, it's not how that's going to work.
Yeah, and even still here, like Ross Chastain benefiting from going out early, having clean track, not being rubbered in, whatever it is. But I mean, Brendan Jones popping here, Sam Mayer popping here, Jesse Love putting together a good run in qualifying gives you some upside. Corey Day being able to put together 10 clean laps. But again, I wouldn't lean too much into this. And like, certainly don't look at Justin Allgaier and see him ranked 22nd and write him off.
Yeah, don't do Phoenix all over again.
And the same can be said for Taylor Gray. This very well could have just been trying to get turn in the car, could have been stuck behind another car. Not super reliable.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back to this race last fall, sort by laps led, pretty even distribution of dominators. We did have some comers and goers, but the fastest cars were those JGR cars. You can kind of tell by the fast laps, and you'll see a similar type of story. Taylor Gray was the fastest car in the spring as well. Connor Zilic had a very good run, wasn't able to.
He was
put the
off. Was he not off sequence for a bit? He had a bunch of fast laps too.
I'm not sure. He started on the pole. I'd have to go back and watch. So I'm sure he grabbed a couple of those. But yeah, I think he did pit in a weird time and have some clean racetrack, banged off some fast laps. But Taylor Gray has been the talk of the town here for 2 races in a row. And I don't think he'll have any competition as stiff as he had with Eric Almirola in both these races. And he cleared them in both. So a lot of upside for Taylor Gray.
Because this was an amazing track for Almirola in the Cup Series, let alone the Xfinity Series at the time. Like, he was just smurfing.
Yeah, absolutely, and he wasn't able to topple. And we saw Taylor Gray go up and pass Eric Almirola, which is very, very impressive. So let's go over
in a similar spot to where he's starting now.
Absolutely. Let's go over to the driver by driver and get through this one by one. It's starting with Justin Allgaier, who is priced way, way up, way higher than he ought to be.
You think maybe we should sort by odds for this one?
We certainly could.
Yeah.
Let's go bang, bang, and start with Taylor Gray, who is about the favorite for this race, and probably rightfully so. We've seen him dominate 2 races in a row here. Should have won in the spring, did win in the fall, and we've seen him doing it from the back of the field, having to pass cars, having to make good lap time, and he's done that pretty consistently. And like I said, we haven't seen anybody, or we won't see anybody in this field as competitive as Eric Almirola in the 19 car that Taylor Gray overcame twice last year. This is a really solid play. It's going to be super high owned. He's probably the rightful favorite to win this race, but in a field that's kind of weird, the salary is going to be kind of all over the place. I don't know if you can go overweight on Taylor Gray, but you've got to play a significant amount, I think.
What's with this price? DraftKings. The pricing has been asked this year. This is incorrect. This is not even close.
Yeah, I don't know what they could be looking at to make Justin Allgaier 12.5.
Yeah.
And then Taylor Gray 9.4. Like, what stat could they possibly looking at other than Phoenix history? I don't know. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Did they know Allgaier was going to be on the pole? Like, it makes absolutely fucking no sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Taylor Gray, I don't know. Like I said, hard to be overweight on him, but a guy you're going to have to get a lot of exposure to, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, again, he does have that disguised win in the spring race here last year. He should be coming in off of 2 straight victories, dominating victories.
Yeah.
He's really, really, really good chalk here. I mean, JGR just as a whole, super duper safe.
And we saw how good that pit crew is over on Fast Lap. Ranks 3rd. Don't expect Jesse Love to be overwhelmingly competitive here. The 20 car with Brandon Jones should be a factor. We'll talk about him soon. But then you get to that Taylor Gray car.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's pretty obvious who the top favorite cars here would be. It would just be Allgaier in the pole and then Gray up front. I kind of like this second tier that we've got going on here.
Yeah, we'll talk about Justin Allgaier real quick. He starts P1 by virtue of qualifying being canceled. Like we talked about his salary, 12.5 just doesn't make any sense for Justin Allgaier, who's very, very good at Martinsville, but we've never seen much domination owed to him, like 37 laps led here in the fall. That's not a ton by his standard on a race this long. Other than that, not really more than 20 laps. Doesn't tend to grab a ton of fast laps here either.
He's also never started on the pole. I mean, he just doesn't really do that.
Bailed out, I think, a little bit, which complicates this slate by qualifying being canceled. He'll start P1. He'll have a great pit stall as well. That's something we should look at here in a second too. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, he's too expensive. 12.5 is too much. He has to do too much to hit value here. And we haven't seen him be overtly competitive. Now, again, this is a weaker field than maybe we had last year, but Brent Cruz should be competitive. Carson Quaffle got way better. Sammy Smith has been better at Martinsville than Justin Allgaier. So I find myself wanting to be a little underweight on Allgaier here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going underweight Allgaier. I mean, people don't really like to play Allgaier. She's going to be pretty low for a pole sitter at Martinsville. Coming off that Phoenix win, I guess, and I mean, he's had a few wins that were just kind of whatever last week at Darlington. I mean, the game log looks fine, I guess. So I don't know why they're pricing him like this based off the game log, but they're not pricing up Tyler Reddick. So I have no idea how they do this. The price is ridiculous. I wish that FanDuel covered O'Reilly's at this point, so you would have like decent pricing.
I would argue Sheldon Creed has Allgaier covered in every statistic, including game log, and Sheldon Creed's 8,900.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, low key Taylor Gray could be 12.5.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get too far, I want to look at pit stalls because it's based on qualifying last year. So the 19 car of Brent Cruz will have the best pit stall. That's significant. Corey Day has a pretty decent pit stall. Justin Allgaier in the 7 will have the 25 behind him with a clear opening in front of him. That should be okay. The 25 will be competitive, but I don't think it'll affect Justin Allgaier too much because I expect Justin Allgaier will be ahead for most of the time, so he'll have a clean entry in.
Sawalich has a decent one.
Sawalich, very, very good. Where is Taylor Gray in
right
that?
There, Dan. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's good. Clean entry in with the 55 in front of him. 55 should be laps down. So that shouldn't affect him. Anything else here that would be a cause for concern? Not really. I mean, Sheldon Creed's got a pretty good box. He should be competitive today. That should help him. Sam Mayer's got a clean entry in with probably an open box in front of him. So yeah, all the major players in this race would appear to have a pretty good pit stall. I'm just scanning here, seeing if anything else jumps off the page, and it doesn't. Jesse Love even has a pretty good entry in, so nothing to be worried about there. Brent Cruz is an interesting. Apparently, the word's out on Brent Cruz, and we talked about him a lot earlier in the season as being a potential Zilich type of season getter, and I thought that would be a bit of a secret, but alas, it is not. I think the 19 cars history here is doing a lot of heavy lifting. But Brent Cruz's reputation is preceding him. To have him priced up at 9,600, be the third favorite to win this race in what I think is his third Xfinity start. We did see him get an Xfinity or a Martinsville start in the Truck Series, a race that he did dominate for a certain portion of. I would be kind of surprised to see Brent Cruz come out and dominate at a place like Martinsville in the Xfinity Series, but it's hard to know because he's followed the kind of Ty Gibbs method of just being very, very good at every level in every seat he's ever gotten in. So I think there's some upside here, but at this price and starting spot, he's got to do a lot of heavy lifting to hit value.
Yeah, I know you're able to get some decent odds on him. I mean, we're technically not supposed to be able to bet on him. Like the odds are up right now at DraftKings. I had to put in his Bet365 odds because DraftKings is like, yeah, you got to follow the law. I can't really go gambling on these minors. He's about to turn 18. We'll see him for the rest of the year at that point.
I think he turns 18 on Monday, so he will take over this 19 car moving forward.
Yeah, it's like, the team also. I mean, the crew. I mean, we saw Almirola just absolutely dominate with this car here, and but again, he's no Almirola, but he's still certainly talented. Gonna be in this mix here. I think this whole range from like Cruz to Smith is pretty even, I would say.
Yeah, I think it would just be very surprising to see Brent Cruz go and get more speed out of this car than Eric Almirola did last year, and Eric Almirola wasn't able to best Taylor Gray. So I think it's just kind of one of those situations where maybe Brent Cruz runs in the top 10 all day, gets his reps. I'm honestly more excited to play him at Rockingham, where he was able to test and apparently like blew the everybody else out of the water in that test. So I think we'll have an opportunity to play him next week or whenever Rockingham is, but I don't know. It seems like a situation where you want to be a little underweight here.
Yeah, and he's just also priced up. Like, why is he more expensive than Taylor Gray? I don't know.
His reputation is preceding him.
Yeah.
Carson Quaffle is a really interesting one. He'll be back in the one car with Rodney Childress. We know how valuable a Rodney Childress setup is, and a Rodney Childress setup at Martinsville, very valuable as well. Carson ran pretty well here last year. Didn't get the finishes he maybe deserved, but ran much better than he finished. We've seen him take a pretty significant step forward in ability this year. I think he's got race winning upside for sure. I wouldn't be, he comes from that Cars Tour late model background that translates very well to Martinsville. Saw him run top 3 at Phoenix, seen him lead laps this year. I don't mind Carson Quaffle. I think he's probably going to be a little higher owned than I would have wanted to be, but I think this is a good place to get a little bit of leverage because I do think this is probably, in theory, the best play out of the JRM cars.
Yeah, and he came into the week price like this on the sports book, so he's someone that stood out just pricing to odds wise. I was fast enough in practice. Again, we're seeing this up top. We look at it by odds, just JGR Junior. Like, yeah, those are clearly the two teams to look for here. Quappel definitely impressive at Phoenix. Even ran here well a few years ago in his initial spot start. Someone that's definitely going to be on the up and up. I wouldn't look too hard into his finishes last year. They were pretty brutal across the board, but again, this season, I think he has real like dominator upside.
If you go and look, if I can find him here.
It'll take a minute. Bro wrecked out a lot.
There we go. His average running
wrecked out a lot.
Yeah, his average running position at Martinsville, kind of borderline top 10, and then his first start here. But top 10, ran around top 10 in both races last year, didn't get the finish he deserved, and then finished top 5 in his first start here. So certainly some upside, and we know how much Rodney Childress can transform a race team. So, and very good pit crew as well. I think he ranks inside the top 10 among the best of the JRM cars.
And also very impressively an average running position of 3rd. I think he had Phoenix really solid.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carson Quaffle, maybe somebody you want to get some exposure to. Brandon Jones starts 3rd at one of his magic tracks. Brandon Jones just has tracks where he turns into prime Jeff Gordon, Kansas, Darlington, and to a lesser extent, Martinsville. He's got some wins here. He's had almost always runs very well here. Doesn't necessarily always get the finishes, whether that's off the bumper of Ty Gibbs or anybody else. Brandon Jones, not known for his aggression, but able to make speed here. I wouldn't be surprised if he got the lead early in this race, got around Justin Allgaier while Taylor Gray and some of the other guys kind of matriculate their way forward. I think this is a fine play. I think he can lead laps early and hang inside the top 5. We've seen when he finishes here, it's almost always kind of in the top 3. Just a matter of finishing and not getting bullied around, because that's what we've seen more often than not with Brandon Jones.
Yeah, like his track history here a little bit misleading because again he got Ty Gibbs, which I mean can't really hold that against him. He was part of the terrorist attack last year from Sammy Smith, one of many guys that got knocked out of a really good finish there. So pretty misleading. Actually, quite good at this track, and it's just another solid play. JGR team. This is one hell of a fucking crew.
What did we say they ranked? Yeah, P2. Catching up to Jesse Love had a significant lead over the field going into Darlington. So the 20 crew must have had some very, very good stops to catch up as much as they did. So this is a very good pit crew. We talked about his pit stop or his pit stall. Clean entry in, should be a clean entry out as well. A lot of upside here for Brandon Jones.
Yeah, his pit crew carried him last week.
Absolutely. Sammy Smith, honestly, it's just a matter of if he can keep his head, but this is Sammy Smith's best track. We've seen him run 2nd here a couple times, including twice in the JRM car, a couple times in the JGR car. Was in position to win both of these races last year. was over aggressive in the first one and maybe under aggressive in the second one. But this is a guy who has race winning upside, and he starts ninth. We don't see him tend to lead many laps here, but he's always in position. And even if he doesn't dominate, if he goes out and runs kind of top three, that's going to be pretty close to the optimal at this price. I like Sammy Smith. I think he'll be pretty highly owned, maybe difficult to get leverage on, but a good spot.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mean, the price is probably right. Yeah, they got someone's pricing right. I don't know why. Again, I don't know why he's more expensive than Taylor Gray, but it's neither here nor there. Again, this range is kind of like equal to me. Like, there's not much difference from Cruz to Sammy Smith. So, I'm definitely going to have in the mix here. And honestly, his odds aren't really that terrible. Like plus 800 for him here. I know he's never gotten the win, but he's podium quite a bit.
Yeah, and listen, if he keeps his head in that spring race, this is a second place finish, and he really passes the sniff test when it comes to track history. So, I like Sammy Smith in this spot. I think he can. I think he can go out and compete for a win.
Yep.
Corey Day will start 7th, priced down at 8,500. His odds are way up. Everybody's starting to figure it out. Corey Day's pretty good, but at Martinsville, I'm not sure this is the best place to play him. He starts 7th.
Yeah.
He's not a short tracker. His background is dirt racing, almost exclusively dirt racing. In fact, I think his first kind of late model pavement asphalt race was just a couple years ago. He doesn't come from the same background that a lot of these guys have. Doesn't necessarily translate that well into a place like Martinsville. I'd be really surprised to see him hit value here.
Yeah, he's someone that has been kind of bet up here, though. Came into the week at 25-1 on DraftKings. Now he's 12-1. Not really a lot has even happened since it's not like qualifying was real. Just end up with a decent spot on the inside line there. But yeah, I mean, the word is out on Corey Day. Is his best track type? No. I'm more interested in him at the intermediates for sure. He'll probably have a solid enough run. He'll probably be happy to finish about where he starts.
I think so. I think that's about right. I wouldn't be surprised, and this is a hot take, but I don't think he's going to go out and win 10 races. But I think everybody's got Brent Cruz circled as the Connor Zilic of this year. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Corey Day, when it gets hot and tracks get slick, that we kind of see that turn that we saw with Connor Zilic last year towards the last half of the season where he goes on a tear. I think he's going to win multiple races this year, but I don't think it's going to start here at Martinsville.
Yeah, because unfortunately, not very hot. Actually, quite cold. Not slick. Kind of a fresher track. I don't know.
He's got nothing going for him.
Yeah. Also, not a lot of friends still.
Yeah, there may be some revenge. I mean, Ryan C.
You won't be too happy. You have to have friends at Martinsville. It really sucks to not have friends at this track. Certainly.
Brent Cruz, I don't think won any truck races. He dominated most he led significant laps in at least a few of them. But he comes from a road racing background. He's exactly the same archetype as Connor Zilic. Grew up road course racing, transitioned into oval racing in the ARCA series, kind of dominated in the ARCA series, but now has dirt wins. He runs dirt races all the time, has a couple wins on dirt tracks. He's got a very unique background. He's going to be very, very, very competitive. Sheldon Creed at one of his best tracks, Martinsville, has been very, very good to him over the years in an RCR car, in a JGR car, and now in a Haas, pretty consistently inside the top 5 here. Starting 6th, we don't really see Sheldon Creed dominate, which is a concern. Excuse me. My TV just turned on because qualifying started. Turn off. Okay. We don't really see him dominate, which is the concern. But should still run around where he starts. If this race gets chaotic, he could go up and compete for a win, but I kind of think this is about where he'll run.
Yeah, and he's not too expensive either. But yeah, second to fifth just kind of feels right for him. Not really someone that puts himself out there up front early on and is kind of boxed out of being, Haas definitely like a B tier team, but not up there with JGR and Junior Motorsports. I think those will be the guys duking it out for a win almost certainly here. Mayer kind of in the same boat. Yeah.
Raja Karuth will start on the outside pole. I saw somebody ask about Thor. How far does Raja fall at the start with him starting second? I don't think like it'll be a situation where sometimes we see the outside line get freight trained. I wouldn't even be surprised if Justin Allgaier took the outside off the start and just relied on getting a really good jump. You can take the outside on the restarts. and use the momentum off of 2 to get the lead. I don't think Raja would consider Martinsville his best track type by any means. I would be very surprised to see him pay off a second place starting spot, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him hang in the top 10 for most of the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of unless Allgaier really fucks up in the beginning, it's kind of a low upside play here.
Yeah. If we go and look at, go to Fast Lap and look at track type short in the O'Reilly series, you have to do some real digging before you find Raja. This hasn't been his best kind of track type, all outside of the top 10 in his O'Reilly starts, no laps led. And based on average finish versus average running position, overperforming his average running position on short tracks is outside the top 25. A lot of those are in worse equipment than he's in today, but not a play I'm super interested in.
Yeah, no.
Sam Mayer is an interesting one. He's run pretty well this year, and we do see Sam Mayer dominate, in compared to a guy like Creed, who we don't see lead significant laps. Sam Mayer does. Sam Mayer does get out front, does dominate races. Martinsville has been okay to him, kind of 5th to 10th most of the time. But he's a good short tracker. I think the big concern here is his pit crew hasn't been overtly. I guess it's better than I think. It's not as good as Sheldon Creed's, which ranks in the top 5, but it's still in the top 8. So maybe not as big a concern as I initially thought. Starting 11th, I think he can push into the top 10. If this race plays out a certain way, I think we could see him lead laps at some point. So I don't mind this play. Sam Mayer is okay in this spot.
I'm going to keep bringing this up, though. Why is he more expensive than Taylor Gray? This is
it doesn't make it. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he's definitely like a lower B tier play here, just priced up a bit. He's not going to be very high owned, so I guess like he's like a very much a single entry sort of pivot play, and that's just kind of where he's at on the slate.
Yeah, Stump with 2 really good comments here. Drop some thumbs up, people. Great idea. Go ahead and hit the like button for us. And surprisingly, Josh Williams has some good track history here, especially for where he's starting today. I've been banned by the DFS Army team for stumping for Josh Williams, so I'll let Taco talk about him when we get there. But I agree, this is a very good track for Josh Williams, specifically when he's in the 92 car.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Pulliam will start 12th in that number 9 car for JRM. This is his Xfinity debut, but Lee Pulliam is a very, very experienced driver. In fact, a lot of the top tier prospects we see in the sport have Lee Pulliam to thank. Corey Heim, for example, Butterbean Queen, for example. As far as like short track late model stuff goes, Lee Pulliam has a resume that would make just about anybody in the sport envy. But this is his first start in the Xfinity or in the O'Reilly series. He's got plenty of experience at Martinsville. This is his home track in theory. I don't know. We saw Josh Berry in a similar situation win this race, getting his first start at Martinsville in a JRM car from a very, very illustrious late model background. Josh Berry went out and won in his first attempt. It wasn't his first start. Josh Berry had a couple starts in the O'Reilly series before he broke out at Martinsville. And Josh Berry was embedded in JRM for almost a decade before he got his first Xfinity opportunity. He had a ton of simulator. He had a ton of work on the simulator. He was around that team for many, many years, was the star of their late model program. I think he'll run fine here. I just don't love guys making their O'Reilly debut, even as experienced and kind of prestigious of a career as Lee Pulliam has had. Just even like pitting is going to be a learning curve for him, I would think. I don't know. Maybe I'm being under optimistic here, but I think a top 10 would be a good day for him, but that won't be enough from a DFS perspective.
I also think he leapfrogged a bit on the practice sheets, which should give him some unnecessary ownership because he ran some qualifying laps at the very end.
Yeah.
And again, just green guys in the Xfinity series, O'Reilly series has not been. They just fuck up so often, and this is a track where it's pretty easy to fuck up. It's pretty easy to recover from fucking up, at least. But I don't know. He's playable at 8K, but again, you can't really expect too much out of a guy in his first start, even as experienced of late model guys Lee Pulliam is.
Yeah, and I think maybe the idea here, like, don't play him that much in DFS and keep an eye on the live timing and scoring. And if he's ripping fast laps like he was in practice, you can attack him on the live number. But I just don't love playing guys making their first starts in anything NASCAR. I don't think he has any. I don't even think he has ARCA starts. But
He has
like I said,
truck starts from like a long time ago, like well over a decade ago.
Yeah, but listen, as illustrious of a late model career as you could hope for, and now runs one of the most successful Cars Tour teams. So I love Lee Pulliam, but a lot of heavy lifting to do today.
No, it was not trucks, it was Can-Am.
Okay, Can-Am, yeah. JJT, I think it's info@fastlap.io if you have questions, comments on FastLap. Still a work in progress, still very much in beta, but if you have comments, I'd love to hear them. I think it's info@fastlap.io, or you can also message me if you're in the DFS Army Discord, dfsarmy.com/NASCAR. Now we got to talk about Ross, and I was so excited when I saw this pricing come out. 10.5 for Ross in a DJM car. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then he goes and doesn't get to put a qualifying lap in and starts 38th and kind of makes himself a must play. But make no mistake, this is not the 9 car that he usually runs in the O'Reilly series. We looked at his pit crew. This 91 pit crew ranks well outside of the top 20, 17.4 average pit time. That's almost 4 seconds slower than these top guys we talk about. He'll be on a significant disadvantage on pit road. And I would just be surprised to see this car be able to make the same speed that, I mean, look at the cars he's amongst. We have a DGM car kind of just snuck in here among all the other top tier cars. I still think he can go run towards the top 15, maybe even the top 10, but so you're going to have to play him, but this is wrong. This is the wrong pricing. Even these odds, which were lowered after practice, despite him topping the practice boards in a lot of categories, plus 1600 is still too high for Ross Chastain. I don't think you can be overweight on him, but I don't mind being pretty underweight still, even starting 38th.
Yeah, your cash game staple. There you go. Fading the guy starting 38th at a track that we've seen is very, very, very forgiving for guys starting at 38th. Yeah, it just kind of sucks. It's and he's so expensive. You have to invest so much into him too. But
yeah, 10.5 is insane.
God, it's this was the worst case scenario that could have happened.
Absolutely. Like if he would have been 23rd, everything else exactly the same, but he starts 23rd, he would have been the most obvious fade ever. But starting 38th, I mean, even if he goes and runs 16th, what seems like a pretty good floor, he's still going to score around 50 points.
Yeah. So it's just too easy to fit him in too.
Yeah. But don't expect him to go and lead and dominate. He'll be on a significant disadvantage on pit road. Where's his pit stall? 91. Yeah. Snuck between the 26 car of Dean Thomas and Austin Hill, which will probably be running pretty close to where Ross is. So that's a disadvantaged pit stall, a disadvantaged pit crew, and equipment that we haven't seen be necessarily that competitive. If we go to car stats, it'll take us to Racing Reference. Alex Labbe finished last. Mason Maggio was able to run towards the top kind of 30. Carson Quaffle at Coda ran towards the top 20, but that's not super indicative of what this car is capable of. I mean, Myatt Snyder ran 14th in this car here in the fall. I guess that's your closest comparison. Maybe we can see a kind of top 15 run out of Ross, but yeah, we kind of just got bullied into taking Ross here.
Matt Snyder also always does that.
Yeah, that's just the way Myatt Snyder approaches a race will be much different than the way that Ross Chastain approaches this race today. So yeah, I wish I could give a great spiel about why you should fade Ross Chastain, but like I said, we kind of got bullied into playing him.
Gross.
Austin Hill's an interesting one. He starts 26th at a track that has been okay to him, but not great. You take out that kind of miracle win he got here in the spring last year. It's all been kind of outside of the top 10. He also had that dust up with Sheldon Creed a couple years ago in that crazy Martinsville race. I think that was 22.
Yeah, the one with the like 14 wrecks and the 2 big ones.
Yeah. He starts 26th. He should push forward, but I would be kind of surprised to see him find his way into the top 10, which is probably what he needs to hit value here. I don't mind being a little underweight on Austin Hill. He hasn't been that great outside of plate tracks this year.
Yeah, it's just all the mini carnage is going to happen in here. Austin Hill tends to be a very safe finisher, even though he hasn't really shown that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just very limited upside, but putting yourself in the right place at the right time is how he got that miracle win, which he had absolutely no business getting. He's cheap though. His lack of skill here is definitely reflected in his price. So they kind of got his pricing on the right side.
Yeah. Again, I think it's going to be hard to get leverage on a guy like Austin Hill. I don't mind being a little underweight, but a fine PD play.
Yeah.
Jesse Love will start 8th at a track where he has been terrible. He's been a lot better on short tracks. I mean, Phoenix, obviously, he's been fantastic on, and you would think that would translate a bit to Martinsville, but alas, it has not. This has been a very poor track for Jesse Love. We talked about his pit crew is going to do a lot of saving for him today. He should gain positions on pit road every time he's on it. But at 9,200, starting 8th, he'd kind of need a career best finish here. Almost needs to run towards the top 5, and that's just not something we've seen out of Jesse Love at Martinsville.
Yeah, 25 to 1, and you're paying 9,200, which at least isn't as expensive as Taylor Gray, but
yeah.
I mean, yeah. If it wasn't for the crew, I'd have like zero interest in Jesse Love here.
Yeah, just chasing the pit crew here more than anything.
Yeah, we're chasing Phoenix, which again, he's always been good at Phoenix. He's always been dog shit here. So again, track history is very important this week. I think more important than most tracks.
Which does not do much in serving the prospects of William Sawalich, if track history is what we're looking at, because he's
bad everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, well, come on, he's had some good runs at Gateway in particular, which is kind of like a big Martinsville.
Yep.
But Martinsville has not been good to him, and he just doesn't finish races at the level you need when you're in a JGR piece of equipment. That's what happens when your grandfather's a billionaire, I guess. It doesn't matter. But starting 16th here, he would need a run that we haven't really seen out of him in some time.
The big thing going for him is he's in JGR equipment, has a JGR crew.
Yeah,
which is notable. But I mean, that is baked into his price this week. So we're used to see him on the lower side of 7Ks.
He had a very good pit stall with the 87 Austin Green car that should be laps down, and then an open box in front of him. Good pit stall. Pit crew ranks 4th. So that should help keep him towards the top 15, but I don't see him pushing forward much on track.
An okay starting position. So I think he's borderline playable as much as I really don't like playing William Sandwich.
Yeah, it's a fine play. I mean, he's not priced up super high. If he kind of runs, man, if he can squeak out a top 10, you start talking about optimal upside. So maybe a fine little sprinkle play. Parker Retzlaff, the stud of the Xfinity Series. Imagine if I know I talk about this every week, but imagine, how about Parker Retzlaff in the 9 just for a couple races? Let's just see. Because he's run amazing in these Viking Motorsports cars. They've been the story. They've taken a significant step forward this year. And Parker Retzlaff is just so good at making solid lap time. Again, we talked about this earlier, lap time, not necessarily what you're looking for at Martinsville. It's more about turn and setting up, drive off, which he'll be at a disadvantage on. Would be surprised to see him pay off a 10th place starting spot, but a fine sprinkle play. Wouldn't be surprised to see him hang around here. Just don't see him pushing towards the top 5.
Again, qualified too well, or his lack of qualifying pushed him up too well. But
yeah.
The
how
issue
crazy
here
is that? Like Parker
Retzlaff instead.
Parker Retzlaff should be. Oh, qualifying was canceled, so Retzlaff starts 30th because he's terrible in points. He's 10th in points.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But yeah, not a great DFS play. Ryan Sieg will start 14th at a track where he hasn't necessarily been as competitive as some other tracks. Looked really solid in practice, but that probably says more about where he went out in qualifying. Tends to go pretty early. I haven't been as impressed as maybe I'd hoped to be with Ryan Sieg. We saw him be very competitive towards the end of his tenure in a Ford. The swap to Chevy hasn't seemed to play out. Maybe we're going to see him take a step forward in the summer. We talked about it last week. Kyle Sieg has actually been a little more impressive than Ryan Sieg. This is just a sprinkle play for me. He would need a bit of an outlier run to hit value here.
Yeah. He doesn't rate out very well at all. I think odds wise, he had like some crazy movement. What was it? He opened at after qualifying was 30 to 1, and this morning with nothing changing really, he was 70 to 1.
Yeah, it just hasn't the move to Chevrolet hasn't been that impressive.
It's just bad here at this track specifically.
I know everybody's excited to talk about Jeb Burton, but before we do that, I do want to take a second and talk about DFSArmy.com. If you want access to all of the tools we're using today, Research Station and the Domination Station, which we'll use here in a few minutes to bang out as many as 600 lineups in about 30 seconds. You can go over to dfsarmy.com/NASCAR, get access to all the tools we're using. You get access to the cheat sheets, which has our written notes about every driver in the field. We do that for every single race. You also get access to the research station, which we're referencing in this video. And probably most fun, you get access to the Discord where we talk about this stuff all week. Me and Taco and all the great members over there that are much smarter than us are putting tidbits and having discussions about races all week long. dfsarmy.com/NASCAR. The link for that is in the description. Get signed up. Join us over in the Discord. Get access to all these tools we use. I mean, we have people chopping up contests just about every week. So it's a great time to get involved. We've got a really, really great combination of races coming up. Rockingham, Kansas, I think Bristol's in a few weeks. Great time to get signed up.
Hell yeah. And we've been tearing up the O'Reilly series so far this year.
Yeah, it's been our best series for sure. Now we got to talk about Jeb Burton, who is prime Rusty Wallace at Martinsville for some reason. This is his best track by far. He finishes in the top 10 pretty consistently. Never really...
Daytona's best track by far. This is a good second.
Yeah, fair enough. We don't really see him push towards the top 5. That says more about his equipment than anything. These JRR cars are certainly a B- tier, if not a C+ tier. But love Jeb Burton in the spot. He starts 23rd, and you look at his track history. He almost needs an outlier run not to hit the optimal here. I love Jeb Burton in this spot.
Yep. I love Jeb Burton in general because he tends to not get ownership, even in good spots. And the pricing, he's kind of in a weird spot where there's a bunch of good plays like 1,000 cheaper than him. And that kind of works a little better. So in order to get Jeb, you got to kind of pull some strings. Just to really, he should be a popular. He should be 30 to 40% owned. We'll see.
Yeah. If anybody's dual screening like me, how about Ryan Newman on the practice broadcast? Shout out to a Ryan Newman appearance. Other thing I wanted to point out about Jeb Burton that's a slight concern is his pit crew ranks 25th. Very poor pit crew. That's going to hurt him. But he should be running among these cars anyway. So that's 17. It's not like he's going to be running in the top 10 and going to, fall back. He should run kind of 10th to 15th, and his pit crew should be able to hold that for him.
Pretty safe.
Nicholas Sanchez starts 25th. Not a great track for him in general. He's not a short tracker. He makes his hay on the intermediates and the plate tracks. Sprinkle play, not much here for me.
Yeah, you can even see Harrison Burton wasn't all that great in this equipment last year. Yeah, not a whole lot to be excited about. JJT, do you have the O'Reilly practice up on Fast Lap? No, still working on the practice analyzer for O'Reilly. I might get it done this afternoon, but probably next week it'll be ready. I ran into some trouble with the way that data gets put out by NASCAR. Sorry, but you can use, if you're a DFS Army member, you can use Taco's practice analyzer, just as useful as anything I could ever build. Harrison Burton starts 24th. This is an interesting play because this is a pretty good track for Harrison Burton. He is a very good short track racer. I would say that his first couple weeks in this 24 Toyota have been underwhelming. Let us down at Phoenix, let us down at Darlington. But now we go to a track where he's been okay at, certainly very good here. Actually won here in JGR equipment. This is not, but he should be able to push towards the top 15. I don't mind getting a little leverage on Harrison Burton here. I know I've said that about 3 weeks in a row, but certainly it'll pay off at one point. Yeah, I guess the biggest concern here is both him and Dean Thompson looked just bad at Phoenix.
Yeah, not a whole lot of pace at all.
Yes, and their odds are looking similar to that Phoenix race where he's about 130. Dean Thompson was 300. I would much prefer Jeb, of course. He's going to have significantly higher ownership. I think right now in the optimal, it does give you Burton-Jeb combo. So he is definitely usable in some spots because I think the thing with building on this slate is that a lot of the times, if you're not playing Allgaier, you're kind of stuck choosing between like Harrison Burton and like Blaine Perkins or Patrick Staropoli, like straight up, and it's actually kind of close.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't mind getting a little bit of Harrison Burton. Hold on, try not to cough into the mic. Excuse me, Andrew. Patterson will get his first start in this, I think it's his first start in the 32 car. Am I wrong? Am I tripping?
It's his first start, yeah.
Yeah, he DNQ'd for the Roval in this car last year. Starts 19th. Andrew Patterson is a fine late model racer. Certainly doesn't jump off the page like a guy like Lee Pulliam does. Starting 19th here, this is just mostly a fade or an uncheck probably.
I mean, this is just the qualifying being canceled, screwing things over. He came in at 100 to 1. He's 150 now, but I think that is still way too high of a number. One of the few guys where practice times actually are like pretty alarming.
Yeah, I his kind of standout run was in the ARCA race last year for Nitro Motorsports in Salem. He finished second, but other than that, he's kind of been a mid-pack ARCA guy. Does have a Cars Tour start, I believe, but he didn't finish well in that. Not a ton of upside here.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Staropoli actually ran pretty well at Martinsville last year. 2 top 20s. He's had a rough start to the season, very rough start to the season. But if he can find a little familiarity at a place like Martinsville, where he seems to be fairly comfortable, maybe he can return to form here and grind out a top 20. Didn't look super comfortable in practice. I don't know what it is about these BMR cars that just aren't jiving for Staropoli. He wasn't good at Phoenix either. I'm a little nervous about this play, but if he can just repeat what he did last year, it starts to get really, really interesting. He really only needs to be top 20 to hit value here.
Mm-hmm. And those are some really surprising runs. I remember he was optimal both times as that real cheap guy in the low 5, high 4K range that you needed. A little bit more expensive this time around, obviously. You look to Nick Sanchez to see kind of like what to expect out of this team. But again, he hasn't quite been the Nick Sanchez, unfortunately. And you can see, Nick Sanchez did struggle just overall in this track type. But it also might be more of a him thing because he also struggled at short tracks in the truck series and was way better at the intermediate track. So Staropoli, he's fine. In this range, I'd probably prefer like Perkins, who we'll talk about eventually. But yeah, he's definitely going to be in the rotation.
Dean Thompson starts 22nd at a track where he's been very, very good at. Surprisingly, 2 top 10s last year. A lot of that has to do with how those races played out towards the end, but his average running position was well inside the top 20. He starts 22nd. I wouldn't be surprised to see him push into the top 20. Do I expect a top 10 like he got last year? Probably not, but a 15th, a 14th doesn't seem outside of the realm of possibility, and that makes him pretty playable here.
Yeah, I mean, how do you adjust for that 6th place finish, which is absolutely not a 6th place finish? You have to look at the lap by lap actually, and see where he really should have finished before Sammy Smith went full crazy person.
Dean Thompson started 12th, kind of hung out there all day, fell back towards the end, but recovered okay. Fell back again, recovered okay, fell back again, and then this is where this race got really crazy. Look at this. Look at this. One, it's just silly at the end. But a fine play.
The last lap, everyone traded spots. That was realistically like a 15th, like a 16th.
And I think that's probably what his upside here is.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's fine.
It's just Sam Hunt, 300 to 1. We saw this at Phoenix, and he was like, it was the same pricing, odds wise, and everything. Also, like similarly mid in practice, but he was just dog shit. He was terrible.
Yeah, ran outside of the top 25, I think, all day at Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Alfredo will start 15th in these Viking Motorsports cars, which are suddenly very competitive, but a tough starting spot for him. He's run okay here at times, but generally speaking, outside of the top 15, he would need a bit of an outlier run to pay off here.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of exactly like Jeremy Clements, where he needs like his Phoenix speed to be real and sustainable, which, I mean, Viking is going to be, again, like, it's one of the most talked about teams this season. Again, I would play him over Retzlaff. He's got a better starting spot than him because that Phoenix run is really good. So I think Alfredo is playable in GPP, just based off of the upside that we saw there.
Yep, fair enough. Brendan Poole will start 17th.
Stop doing this, Poole.
I just wish. Could you just qualify 28th?
Yeah.
Fine sprinkle play. We've seen him be able to run inside the top 15 here.
Another Sammy Smith merchant, that 4th place, bro.
Yeah. He grinds out really good finishes, but again, we look at this 44 pit crew. Doesn't do him any favors. Ranks 30th, 18-second average pit stop time.
It's so bad.
Sprinkle play.
I love Poole. I play him every week. He's made me so much money. I really don't think I'm going to sprinkle him much here at all. Because again, that 4th place finish is not real.
Yeah, that was Sammy Smith.
Yeah.
Jeremy Clements starts 20th. We saw him have a very, very good run at Phoenix, like you said. If that speed is real, and maybe we've seen a little bit of evidence that it could be. We've heard talk of this this Haas factory team alliance. Seems to be a little more legitimate than maybe we had expected. However, Martinsville hasn't been his best track. He would need a pretty significant step up in performance. I think this is a fine play, especially if you're chasing that Phoenix speed that he had. But if you're going off track history, not a great track. This is probably about where he should run.
Yeah, I mean, you play him at the percentage that you think that Phoenix speed is real, because even 11th didn't do it justice. It was like a really good run.
Yeah.
He was legitimately running in the top 10, even the top 5 parts during that race.
Austin Green will start 30th. We haven't seen him be able to do much on ovals quite yet. Great road course racer. And we have seen Austin Green have oval success in other series, but this 87 car isn't doing him many favors. They rank 33rd on pit road, almost a 22nd pit stop. Fine carnage play. Maybe he ran 24th here towards the end of last year, but I don't love this car. I don't love this crew. And Austin Green seems to be struggling to transition onto ovals. Not much here for me.
Yeah, we saw some signs of life at Phoenix, I guess, but still it's pretty underwhelming. There are just a lot of better plays in this range.
Yeah. Ryan Ellis will start 32nd. We've seen him almost always run kind of 18th to 25th, which is probably pretty close to enough. I think this is a pretty good play.
Yeah, if you are playing Outlier or something and you need to go really cheap, like Ellis is someone that stands out because he's just a touch better than everyone else in this range.
Yeah, absolutely. And only 5,700 salary. Luke Baldwin will start 29th, making his series debut, I believe, in that 5 car. We saw Chandler Smith really struggle with this car. I would be very surprised if Luke Baldwin could do anything better than Chandler Smith was. Luke Baldwin's a great race car driver, has lots of money behind him, but this car just hasn't been good.
That crew is dog shit.
Yeah, you look at it ranks 34th. Again, another 22nd pit stop.
Like, not actually bad. So, yeah. No.
Josh Williams. I'm going to concede the floor to you, Taco, because I'm not allowed to talk good about Josh Williams, but I think this is an okay play.
Well, this has been kind of a slightly alarming year for DGM, just speed-wise overall. However, I mean, he's ran perfectly fine here. Starting 31st for $5,400, real cheap. Granted, he's not on colleague anymore. I don't know. I mean, you saw just from his performances last year. It's not like colleague really helped him improve his finishes. He's back.
Yeah, he almost runs better in DGM than he ever did at colleague.
Yeah. So I mean, this plays perfectly fine. There's actually like nothing wrong with it. It's all right, Brady. You're good this week. And 31st.
And as far as pit crews in the kind of 5,000 salary range, he ranks among the same kind of.
It's better than Jeremy Clements.
Yeah, same kind of pit crew as Jeb Burton, who we're excited to play. Very similar to Harrison Burton in terms of average pit top time. So not a bad play at all. Blaine Perkins is also not a bad play. He's had some really solid runs at Martinsville for whatever reason. And now he's, you think of Blaine Perkins as like this perennial backmarker, but he's got a couple of seasons of decent runs in this Jordan Anderson racing car, starting 28th. Pit crew is fine. I think they rank towards the top 2. Yeah, right there. Same as Josh Williams. Same kind of pit crew. Fine play as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I do like this play a bit. It's a pure track history play, but this is like a good spot to attack track history.
Yeah.
The equipment's kind of about the same as he always gets. Yeah, just 28th to 20th is fine. If he pushes into the low teens, or I guess it'd be the high teens, which we've seen him do quite a bit, actually, more often than not. Definitely flirting with optimal there. He's going to be put up against Staropoli a lot, like head-to-head. That was like something I was thinking about with my cash line. I think I'm leaning towards Perkins, even though he's 500 to 1. I don't really care too much about that compared to 200 to 1 for Patrick Starr here. It's a perfectly fine play. Like, this is his the specific track type that he is quite good at.
Yeah, and it's not just track history, it's track type. Short, flat tracks pretty consistently around 20th, which is all we're really expecting out of him here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just the intermediates he's really bad at.
Kyle Sieg got the keys to the castle this year.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, he's been running very, very well, and apparently DraftKings did take notice of that because he's priced up to 6,300. But starting 35th, he's run much better than he's finished this year. That's why he has such a attractive starting spot. But he ran well here when he wasn't getting good gear, and now it seems like Big Brother has finally given him some decent race cars. I expect him to run towards the top 20. This is honestly one of my favorite kind of value plays on the slate.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, if you can afford him over like a Perkins or a Staropolis, certainly the play in this range to go off of. Again, very forgiving place differential track here. Yeah. And Kyle Sieg, yeah, like you said, Kyle Sieg has damn near been running better than Ryan Sieg.
Yeah, the pit crew leaves a little bit to be desired. That 28 car doesn't rank super high. I guess top 20 doesn't rank as highly
that
as
range for what, 6K.
Yeah, doesn't rank as good as Ryan Sieg's team, but a 16-second pit stop, that's fine if that's what they're capable of. That's fine. I saw somebody earlier talking about Brad Perez. Yeah, I love me some Brad Perez. I actually don't mind this spot. I think Brad Perez, as far as drivers go, is very talented. He ran top 25 at one point last year. Seems to have a lot of support from the garage. We saw Bubba Wallace donating. I don't know if donating is the right word, but giving some money to Brad Perez to run the ARCA race here in a couple weeks. This pit crew, pretty bad, ranks towards the back of the field, an average pit stop of 26, a best pit stop this year of over 20 seconds. That's a tad concerning. Certainly not going to be making much hay on pit road, but this is a fine carnage play. I think Brad Perez can't afford to wreck this race car, so he certainly isn't going to put himself in any positions. If you need some deep kind of value play, I don't mind playing Brad Perez and hoping he kind of runs 25th. That'll get you 26 points. Maybe that's enough depending how this race plays out.
Yeah, at this point, you're just kind of like taking Hail Mary shots. I think most people will be attracted to Matt Snyder in this range.
Yeah.
But also, do you even need to go this far if you're not playing Allgaier? I don't think so. There's
probably not
6K plays that are really good.
These are all pairs with Allgaier and even like probably Allgaier Chastain runs.
Yeah.
LeVar Scott, fine sprinkle play. We saw him run pretty well at Gateway last year, but other than that, short tracks have not been his best discipline. Didn't look super good in practice. Looked pretty uncomfortable in practice, as a matter of fact. And this pit crew, again, that 45 pit crew ranks outside of the top 30. Is capable of a 17-second pit stop, but just not a great track type for LeVar Scott.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just really nothing jumping off the page here, unfortunately.
Myatt Snyder will be the most interesting one. This RJR car, if we go to car stats, as Taco gets a text message, see kind of what they've done. They've suspension problems with Cody Ware at Atlanta, crashed with Baltazar at Coda. Austin J. Hale and Myatt Snyder both ran outside of the top 30. This is a bit of a carnage play. Myatt Snyder is good at Martinsville. It's just this team is probably going to hold him back. If we go and look at how this 30 car has ranked, it's very, very poorly outside of the top 35 in terms of pit crew rankings. Never had a pit stop faster than 20 seconds. This will be a popular play, but it's almost exclusively a carnage play. You can ignore this track history. This car isn't capable of replicating what he's done here before, but should run the full race. Hopefully the car stays in one piece and he squeezes out kind of a top 25 run.
Yes, one piece mention. Yeah, Matt Snyder just seems like a trap play, honestly. He could even get more ownership in this if people really start digging into the track history, but this team's pretty bad. It's like the Derek Cope car.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's bad. Like,
Josh
again, I mean, if there's enough carnage, like if we get another one of those wild races, like he is someone that at least has enough like experience. I mean, he literally raced a cup car this year. Like he's just a guy that has enough experience and knows how to get out of the way, and clearly keeps it clean here more times than not. Like, unfortunately, do have to play him. I was hoping he would be like a more sharp fade going into the week, but like Chastain had to qualify at the very fucking end.
Yeah, unlucky. Josh Blicky and Garrett Smithley start a little too high, probably both on checks, and then Joey Gase, just kind of a perennial super punt play. Capable of
Phoenix
running.
Run, very good.
Yeah, was competitive at Phoenix for sure. And that race didn't feature a lot of carnage, so that's a pretty natural top 20. So there is some upside here for sure. Again, I just don't know if you need to go this low.
Yeah, again, if you are going this low, I kind of had him like circled as like a pivot play to Matt Snyder.
Yeah. Pit crew. How does a pit crew? 30. Yeah, bad pit crew, but that's what you're going to get in this range.
Well,
so there you go. Really weird field. Really strange kind of cast of characters. Like I said, my pick to win is Taylor Gray, just based on what he did last year, and I don't think this field is as competitive without Eric Almirola. The big question marks: how well can Britt Cruz wheel that 19 car? How much of an improvement can Carson Quaffle make with Rodney Childress? But and how much can Ross Chastain get out of that 91 car? But yeah, Taco, I believe it's. Did you pick first last week or did I?
Oh, for a win pick?
Yeah.
My win pick is also just Taylor Gray.
Fair enough.
We're not doing a contest for O'Reilly. He clearly seems like the favorite here because Allgaier is priced by him just because he's off the pole. Doesn't feel like a spot where like if Taylor Gray doesn't win, I think we were talking before we started this. Like, I mean, who's the winner feel like? Like maybe another like super underwhelming Allgaier victories. Had a few of those already this season, or like another Austin Hill random ass victory. Like it just doesn't feel like there's anyone in this field besides Taylor Gray who could actually like really win on speed. Maybe Brandon Jones. That'd be my second guess.
Yeah. I mean, my official win pick on my sheet and everything was Taylor Gray, but I also have a lot of hope for Carson Quaffle here. I think hopefully he can do well, but not a whole lot of value from a sportsbook perspective. Mm-hmm. Let's head over to the domination station, do a quick run, set that up.
It's at least 2 dominators, surely.
Yeah.
But this is the highest number of laps that we'll get in an O'Reilly Series Cup race or the O'Reilly Series race all season, 250 laps. Have Taylor Gray marked as a dominator from 13th. Very clearly, at least 2 doms here.
At least 2 DOMs. We're going to go to tournament mode. Let's run 150 just to see what we get. Randomization, probably need quite a bit here at Martinsville.
like 18, like good amount. It's not like it's not like 20 like you would do it like a super speedway, but it's definitely going to be up there. We've seen some insane results. Like if we knew if Sammy Smith was going to hit again, I'd put it 30, but 18 seems good.
And we won't do it right now, but you can also do a back marker rule, just kind of sort by percent ownership and put anybody kind of less than 10% or, 8 to 10% in this player pool stacked between 0 and 1 in all lineups. Just make sure you don't get Andrew Patterson and Luke Baldwin in the same lineup. Again, we won't do that right now, but, and I heard somebody, I guess that's not really the question he's asking, but is there a exposure max, a field wide max you're putting on a 150 run here?
I would usually start at 50 and then work some exceptions up or down just based on that. Again, there are 2 guys. There are 2 guys that very much are very much going to fly past 50%. Will probably be about like 80 to 90, if not 100% when you run it the first time.
Yeah.
Taylor Gray mostly because his price is just wrong.
Let's see what that gives us. So yeah, still very bullish on Chastain and Gray. No surprise there.
Yeah,
bullish.
They would be 100 if you let him. I think. Maybe not Chastain, but Gray probably would.
Yeah. Jeb Burton, a great play. Austin Hill, maybe a little more ambitious than I would be on Austin Hill, but Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, and Kyle Sieg popping off there too, as well as Blake Perkins. And maybe more bullish on.
I think if you let it make more Ross Chastain lineups, Austin Hill would go down.
That's probably fair.
Actually, definitely holds it back
for sure. So there you go. That's a Dom station. Go in and play with that. If you're not signed up to DFSArmy.com, head on over to DFSArmy.com/NASCAR. The link for that is in the bio. Access to all the tools we use today. One last thing I want to look at. Let's head over to the odds board. I will go and refresh this.
They have Allgaier. It's gone back and forth all week. I don't agree with that one bit.
They've traded these all day, but still, Taylor Gray plus 450 is a little too short for me. Honestly, these odds, there's just a lot of hold here. There's nothing that jumps off the page here for me. I don't think they have.
Jones jumped Cruz. That's about all I really noticed here. Sam Mayer dropped all the way down to 25-1.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I do think maybe there is a situation where Sam Mayer could run pretty well. What's top 5 Sam Mayer look like? I mean, plus 400 for a top 5 from Sam Mayer. I don't think we've ever really seen a top 5 for him. I guess we have.
Yeah, we've seen when he's not wrecking more often than not, top 5. So
maybe that's a place you look.
Interesting.
Sam Mayer, top 5, same odds, kind of plus 400, same odds that Taylor Gray wins. So maybe that's a good place to look. Fastlap.io, head on over to fastlap.io. You can play with all these things we've used today, sort by season, track type, track characteristic, track, tire type. You can do all sorts of sorting. We also have a practice analyzer for the Cup Series. That'll be updated later today, and hopefully I can get the O'Reilly one working as well. If you're not signed up, put your email in there. You'll get a newsletter every week that kind of shows you the breakdown of the top 5 at that track type, that tire type, top 5 pit crews for every race in every series. Fastlap.io. Bang your email in there. Let me know what you think. And yeah, if you have any feedback, info@fastlap.io. Taco, have we covered it all?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too. I'm going to crawl right back in bed. We got through it without too much coughing and snotting.
Rewatch practice and all that.
Yeah, practice is finishing up right now. Qualifying starting soon. Should have a few minutes to get your lineups done. How much time do we have to log?
Still 2 hours. Yeah, we're good.
Plenty of time. I appreciate you all joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow at noon to break down the Martinsville race. If I can breathe out of my nose, maybe we'll even do kind of a quick 10-minute DFS preview as well for the Cup Series later today. No promises. Nose is going crazy. Get signed up at dfsarmy.com/NASCAR. Join us over in the Discord. And we will see you. Oh, hit the like button on the way out. It helps us a lot. And then I can go show Geek, who owns DFS Army, look how well me and Taco are doing. You got to keep letting us do these videos. So the video. We'll be back tomorrow around noon. Taco, take us out.
All right, guys. It's been our best series all year long. We're just going to keep printing money from the O'Reilly series. So let's get those fucking helmets up and make some money tonight.